Welcome back to Bros in a Landfill. Our garbage is cage-free and ethically sourced.
There we go. Yeah, your hosts for this week are Lunchbillion, the duck.
Quack!
Dizzy the snake.
You wouldn't let me restart the Dark Souls episode, but you'll restart my quip.
Tar the Ash Raichu.
Electronic noises.
And me, Try the Sloth, all ready for us to go fast and have fun.
What did I
For 20 minutes.
do with one another?
That's what
So I'm a
sloths do.
snake, you're a sloth, Lunch is
We're
food,
we're
and
all
Tar is the Ash Raichu?
we're all anthropomorphic animals. I mean, I guess Tar isn't an anthropomorphic.
Oh, I get it.
Lunch isn't an animal, and I'm not, and snakes aren't anthropomorphic.
You can't anthropomorphize snakes. You just get geckos.
Well,
Dizzy the
fuck,
Gecko.
just put Sonic eyes on a snake, okay? That's all we need.
No, just no. You mean Sonic Eye on a snake?
Oh,
I'd rather,
yeah. Okay,
I'd rather
that
live.
That's how it
I'd like
works.
seeing, please.
And give
not
it a
touch my
muzzle
eyes.
for no reason.
Yep. And
God.
and gloves, lots of gloves.
Okay, don't
Not a
worry. The
snake?
fan art
No,
for
just
all
a
of our...
singular glove on the tail.
Don't worry, the fan art for all of these Sonic Sonas will be the thumbnail.
Yes.
They'll never exist.
And
Oh,
So I guess we're talking
and our
about Sonic this week because Try finished Shadow the Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Even though I told him not to many times.
Oh, are we finally having our Sonic discourse?
Yeah.
Like, officially?
Officially.
Again?
Yeah.
Yeah, again.
Well, specifically 3D GameCube, PS2 era Sonics. So I wanted to start this
It's basically
conversation.
the only good ones.
SA2 is my favorite 3D Sonic. Fight
So
me.
here's an interesting little thing I was talking about with Lunch. I think it was with Lunch. Tar, you what system did you play the 3D Sonics on?
GameCube.
Dizzy, what system did you play them on?
I played a bunch of them on different systems.
What'd you play Shadow on?
I played Shadow on GameCube.
Okay, so I was talking with Lunch about comparing our experience with Shadow the Hedgehog because he played it on PS2 if I'm correct, and I played it on GameCube. And am I correct about that, Lunch?
That is correct. I played the PlayStation 2 version of Shadow. I played the PC version of Heroes.
There's a PC
There was
version of Heroes?
That's
Yeah,
right.
I didn't know that.
That sounds awful.
Oh wait, was this the Sonic Dreams collection?
What? No,
Was this emulated?
Wait,
We won't tell.
that's something
wait
else.
a minute.
No,
Wait a
it was
minute.
just a box. It was just Sonic Heroes. In a fucking
it's-
normal box.
Wait, are you trying to bamboozle us?
Perhaps.
playing
Pretty
Sonic
sure
Okay.
Dreams
right
Collection
now.
is something totally different.
Because I played Sonic all my 3D Sonics on the GameCube, and
Gosh, Try is a disaster right now.
yeah, I am.
So
So
I'm really happy for you, and I'm gonna let you finish, but I have to go real fast. I'll be right back, though. It's not
Okay.
like it'll only take a couple minutes.
okay, so something that like I was thinking with Lunch is perhaps what makes our experiences much different. Where Lunch absolutely hates Shadow the Hedgehog, and I'm like, yeah, it was okay. I mean, it has problems. It was okay. Comes down to some of the system, like between the programming between the systems, how the controls worked, and some other aspects. Because I remember someone saying that like the PS2 version of Sonic Heroes is pretty jank, and considering I think the GameCube version of Sonic Heroes is pretty jank, that's
Listen,
I
You hear this
when
guy
you
trying to
Sonic
invalidate
Heroes is
my
pretty
thoughts
jank.
because the frame rate was a little bit different and the game didn't run quite as good. So obviously, I'm just mistaken, and obviously,
no,
Shadow the
no, no, no,
Hedgehog's
no, no,
great!
no. No, what I'm saying is, like Shadow the Hedgehog isn't a good game. It's got a lot of problems, but that just thinking about it potentially being like much worse on the imagine it any worse than it already is on the GameCube is a frightening thought, and I can completely understand why anybody would absolutely hate the game if they played it in a
Look,
like
I
it's-
respect where you're coming from because I have played the PS2 version of Heroes, and playing it on a system other than PS2 definitely makes it feel a lot more responsive and a lot more like
well
just
the
fun
up-
to the feeling of playing
Well,
is more
Something I was thinking about when I was playing Shadow the Hedgehog is, I feel like the GameCube was made for 3D platformer games. The controls, I just feel like the way that the controller is designed, it's very much it works really well in a 3D space, and I think it handles it jumps that hurdle far better than any controller ever has. I don't think there's been any other controller that I've used that feels as good to play in a 3D space than the GameCube controller, and I think it really benefits Shadow the Hedgehog, where I can see the PS2 controller being a nightmare to play it with.
We're getting pretty subjective at this point.
I know. I mean, what else is this podcast? Pure bullshit subjectivism.
Well, there you
So
go.
we're talking about Shadow?
Yeah.
Yes. He's
So,
saying that my experience with
Target
Shadow the
be
Hedgehog
saying?
may have been negatively impacted by, one, playing it on the PlayStation version, which performs worse, and also it doesn't have that sweet GameCube controller, which is very important.
Because
That's a very confusing point to make, considering the PlayStation controller is better than the GameCube controller.
Ooh,
I think no. I
We've
think
got,
no.
we've got a dissenter over here.
we got a new episode.
Okay, the PS2 controller is better for certain games. I think for 3 platformers that require a lot of jumping, the GameCube controller is great. But I think when it comes to more even if it's a 3D platformer that doesn't use a lot of jumping, if it's more like a 3D third-person shooter or less.
I think my problem more is just the fact that Tar doesn't care about Shadow the Hedgehog,
Yeah.
so he has nothing to do with this conversation.
Yeah, well, I wanted to jump into. Okay,
I
so
tried to get a few hits in.
speaking
swing
speaking
that
of,
bat harder. Break that disc, Tar. Break it. Smash it like a pinata.
well, actually, I did want to throw some fun shade towards Tar and you guys. I feel because
Bitch, you trying to square up?
Okay, because Dizzy and Lunch keep telling one of the complaints I hear about Shadow the Hedgehog is it's really hard to aim, and the controls are floaty. And
I don't say the first one. I do say the second
okay,
one.
was it? Someone said the controls were it was hard to.
I said that the controls are floaty. I never had a problem with the aiming because
Okay.
here's how you solve
Okay, no,
aiming
okay.
problems. Get a machine gun, hold
Yeah.
down B, run forward.
Okay, because on the Dark Soul cast last night, you said last week you did say that it's targeting in the game is rough and you never know what you're hitting.
Yeah,
Well, that.
I
Yeah,
wish
the
you
homing
could-
attack was poorly designed, and the aiming system when you're actually trying to shoot what you want to shoot is.
I mean, I feel like the homing attack was pretty bad in a lot of the in Heroes as well. So I don't think it's an exclusive to Shadow. Yeah, okay, in general, I've
I
always had
can't
issue-
make a defense for Heroes
Yeah.
because I only played the PlayStation 2 version, or as Sonic fans will tell you, didn't play Heroes.
I've always had issues with Sonic's homing attack, especially when it doesn't clearly lock on. But even in some of the later Sonic games, there'll be it's locked onto this target. I'd hit the A button to do the homing attack, and it would just not work like it was supposed to, or not in the way that you'd expect to. What makes Shadow frustrating, and I don't know if this is the same case with Heroes because I have limited memories of Heroes, is that it didn't always didn't always have the target. Some cases it'd have the target and be great. Most of the time it didn't, and it made it really tough to know what you were homing attacking on. And that wasn't
in the later 3D Sonics they added in a targeting reticule, so you definitely knew where you're going.
Which sucks. Which sucks when the targeting reticule shows up and it still doesn't hit what you're trying to hit.
In Sonic Adventure 2, for
Okay.
example, I definitely have the same problem with you of just sometimes I can't hit the thing that I'm aiming at, or I'll be dead in front of the thing I'm trying to hit. I'll press A and Sonic will shoot forward instead of homing attacking. Shadow the Hedgehog's homing attack is super weird though because you have to hold down jump so he stays airborne for as long as possible, and then you have to wait for him to curl up into a ball before he'll homing attack. And then the homing attack might still not work.
Yeah.
And if you push A too quick, he'll just boost forward regardless.
Yeah.
So it's just a bunch of janky.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that. Shadow the Hedgehog, weirdly enough, the only real times that the homing attack is required is in certain platforming segments. Most of the time, it's just the game's built around you just shooting everything up with some random gun. Once you get the fucking egg vac from the neutral route, the game becomes a piece of cake for the most part in regards to early game enemies.
What you need is the Amchow gun. That thing is the god killer.
Okay.
That thing is the
Amchow gun's
Skyrim
great.
ultimate weapon, holy grail.
The
just
Amchow gun's great.
Amchow gun.
Okay, I'm talking about early game here. Early game,
Yes.
Early game, the egg vacs because it sucks up all enemies and gives you free lives. Late game, the Amchow gun is Supreme King.
It is astoundingly powerful. To my recollection, I admit
Wait,
it's
the
been a long
Omochow
time.
gun is a real thing?
Yeah.
Yeah, you fire the robot Amchow from Sonic Adventure 2 as a weapon. You have 10 shots, but if you do the level, if you beat the boss in both parts of the segment, you get 20 shots instead. And the gun is unbelievably powerful. It kills most things in like 2 to 3 hits.
I'm amazed at how much you guys know about this game.
Also,
I remember the Amchow gun specifically because it was my main weapon. I don't remember any of the other quest clear weapons.
the Amchow gun's great for, especially in missions that require you to destroy a vehicle of sorts. Or like...
Oh yeah, the Amchow gun kills in levels where you have to destroy one specific thing. Like there's one level where you have to chase a blimp and one level where you have to chase a tank. They're massive pains in the neck on first game cycle, but if you have an Amchow gun, they'll just go. They'll just die.
The
Can
satellite
I address
laser...
the comment that was leveled towards me at the beginning of this discussion?
Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sure that the game is a little bit nicer when it's a little bit more responsive on the on the GameCube version of the game. I'm sure that makes some difference. But as I've talked about at length on like 3 episodes of the show, this game is just a mess.
I'm not.
If
I'm
you
not
guys
arguing
can
that.
find some fun in it,
Just-
that's fine. All right. But I'm not gonna be like, oh well, I didn't play the real Shadow the Hedgehog.
Oh no,
because
it's
I
not
mean,
Poor Lunch.
it's
We just
this
keep
is a
dragging
game.
him back to say the
It
same
doesn't
things over
control
and over
like
again.
it's just. It's a game
I want
that
you-
is really slippery. I don't care how responsive the buttons are, right?
Lunch, I'm not defending Shadow.
Okay, here's the...
There's-
Okay,
You know.
okay,
It's a
okay,
game
here's-
that demands specificity of movement. We'll have
Okay.
a slippery as fuck character running around on soap.
Okay, so...
So
It's actually
Shadow
it's
is
actually
clean.
Okay, so when you say it's slippery, here's a fun little thing I noticed while playing the game. Like,
Okay.
turning and movements since it's all based off inertia, it's actually really hard to like the game. It's actually like when you're going at a slow, like starting off moving slowly, it's almost like too clunky and not slippery enough. And then when you go up to the high speed, which is extremely problematic in some later levels, like
This is
it's
a game
impossible
where
to turn.
Shadow's movement should just be very like. There shouldn't be
Do
like.
you ever do the
Well,
boost
the
cheat?
game's poorly programmed. It's like the turning is like the turning and inertia all relate back to its like the turning and movement is all relates back to its inertia, and it's a complete fucking mess, which makes it really hard. Which basically means you have to inch your way through the stage if you want to like survive. Which
What's funny to
for
me
a Sonic
is-
like for a Sonic game is bad, but it's something you have to get used to if you're going to want to try to get through the game. And I think if you try to force yourself to sit through the game, you learn some like respect for it. Where I think if you're going in thinking it doesn't help that it's got like the worst first level in any like game I've ever played. Like I don't know if that's even hyperbole. Like that first level is terrible.
He should just control like a regular action game character. He shouldn't have to move like a Sonic character. They weren't gonna make a Sonic game.
What I was gonna say is that you talk about like speed and stuff. I never told you this, and I'm wondering if you picked up this trick on your own. But something I did in both Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog was, in an attempt to like escape from just walking around and having to build up speed, I just do an immediate jump dash to get to speed,
Yeah, that's what I'd always do too.
and then I just start.
I spent more
sliding
time
much
jump
faster
da-
and faster.
Yeah, I've did much time jump dashing. It's much more precise and builds up speed faster.
I was gonna say when I got into like the rhythm of Shadow the Hedgehog, like watching me play or watching the screen would probably make you sick. Because like I would have to account for everything like a second before it happened in my head, and like move and like I'd be spinning the camera around constantly to adjust to compensate for the new angle I was
isn't
about
every Sonic
to
game
take,
you having to
or the new
adjust,
direction I was about to move in. So my screen was basically constantly spinning, and Shadow was always moving all the time, and sometimes he was always shooting, and my brain just had to like use my eyes to like immediately lock on to everything I wanted to shoot at, and it's like as soon as that thing is off the screen, it finds its next target, and then it moves forward. And like I had to like map out everything just to like get through one stage.
But isn't that like any Sonic stage in general? Like
I don't know. 'Cause
Sonic's a really hard game to like do well like on your first go. Like you very much have to like plan out, remember, and know like then execute that plan and going through a stage. If you want to,
No, because I didn't remember most of the stages. That was just how I played the game. Like time didn't exist, and it was every second was just hit a point until you hit the end.
It was like time didn't exist.
it's like you use chaos control.
No, never use chaos control. That will destroy your mental algorithm. Like I'm not even kidding you. I screamed when I accidentally hit Y. Like blue meter, hit Y. Red meter, hit Y. No, that's not chaos. That's not chaos blast. Ag!
Yeah.
I'm like, now I have to go all the way back, and I just throw myself off a cliff so I could get back to my last checkpoint.
Back to the point of the difference between the consoles. I do think to some degree, was Sonic Adventure 2 on Battle on PS2?
Battles on GameCube.
Okay. Here's
Sonic
Or it
Adventure
was on
Battle.
GameCube.
Here's why I
Maybe
think
it was also on PS. No, it was on PS3 that it was also on.
Yeah,
see,
but you have to pay for a PS Plus subscription, and you can't play the game once it's done, or a PSN subscription.
yeah.
Basically, you couldn't buy the game.
Here's what I'm thinking. And this is probably why Sonic Heroes was so bad on PS2 as well. The engine was originally written on the GameCube. The GameCube and the PS2 have drastically different languages behind them, and it's not like it's.
If I remember correctly, the game was meant to be a GameCube exclusive, but
Yeah.
they got pressured by Sony to be like, "Hey, don't fuck with us.
Yeah,
Give us your fucking Sonic game."
So whenever
and so
you're,
they did,
Now-
but it was
So-
bad.
now-
So whenever you're dealing with an unplanned port, chances are that if it's already a bad game, it's going to be an atrocious game on whatever game console it was ported to, unless if you have like somehow have a miracle team that's able to make a better game somehow.
So what you're saying is that Lunch played a worse Shadow the Hedgehog, and that's why he doesn't see it for the glorious trash mountain that it is.
Exactly. Okay, so for us, the game was playable,
No,
and
because I hated Shadow the Hedgehog.
I don't know why I don't hate Shadow the Hedgehog.
Because you played it ironically.
It was,
No, but
it was
here's the
weird.
thing.
It was interesting. It was like, I mean, it's like every Sonic game, right? It's a beautiful
Okay, but
mess where even though it's
played
like
Shadow
Okay,
the
so
Hedgehog.
here's
has no
a weird
direction,
thing.
it's
Okay,
still
Here's a
Okay,
weird
what
thing.
is it?
I have fun. Like I had fun with Shadow.
This
I
podcast
have
is a beautiful
fond
mess.
memories of Secret Rings,
Thank
except
you, Tyler.
fuck that final battle. I have fond memories
the
of
final battle
playing
sucked.
Unleashed.
What, you mean you don't like jerking off your controller?
No, I don't like having to do
Gotta
the
go
entire
fast.
thing again
But-
because I didn't get enough spinny stuff.
But I wasn't. I never really cared too much for Battle. Sonic Adventure 2 Battle outside of the the Chow Garden. I fucking
Chow Garden was the
despised
best
Heroes
mechanic
on
in
the
the
GameCube. I
Sonic
didn't.
Adventure series. You can fight me on that.
I played Sonic Adventure 1 on the Dreamcast because my brother had a period where he liked to collect old consoles.
yeah.
Sonic Adventure 1 also had a better Chow Garden. Fight me.
Sonic Adventure 1 doesn't exist.
I-
in the minds of people
Sonic-
that didn't play it.
Sonic Adventure
Thank you,
1 and 2 or two of my most meh Sonic games. I could care less about them. I couldn't bring myself to finish Sonic
How
Adventure
much
1.
could you care less about them?
Do you care
Okay,
about them
here's
as
an
much as
idea,
Taro cares
guys.
about
I have an
Dark
idea
Souls?
that
Yeah.
could maybe put this conversation on some kind of structure.
Yes.
So
Yes.
the Sonic games that came out on that era of consoles, Adventure to, I guess, Shadow, we are now ranking them.
Okay.
Okay.
So-
I'll go last because you guys probably already know my.
What are our nominees?
Just any game that you played, any Sonic game you played, I think.
No, I mean, like, which ones are we ranking? Adventure, Adventure 2 Heroes, Shadow
just any
for
that you
sure.
played.
Which other ones?
Just all of them.
Riders.
That you played. Just stick them all in there.
What
Yeah,
else came out?
we'll throw Riders in the
I know what
mix
it
too.
was, but I have never played it.
I was gonna
Sega
say, like-
Superstars on iToy.
I've
We
never
were
played
talking
that,
about the
but it
homing
sounds
attack
amazing.
before. We were talking about the homing attack before. I was going to make a complaint that I'm not sure if anyone else feels, where it's like in Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog, the homing attack was kind of weird and didn't always work. But then in some of the later Sonic games, like Colors and Generations, or at least the DS versions, because I didn't play PlayStation 3 Generations, it felt like the homing attack worked too well.
Yeah, you
Okay,
can like
it's
snipe people from the other side of the
Yeah,
universe.
In
But
Sonic
okay, we're
Colors-
ranking, all right? Let's not
Right.
get into colors. We're staying in the 2000s, in the
Yes.
butt rock
Oh.
era. Okay.
Colors not on this list.
And okay, so I'll give you my thoughts. I think my favorite out of these ones.
Least
Least to most.
least the
Lunch,
most.
I wanted to cut you off so you could say that you didn't even say anything yet.
Excuse me.
I wanted to cut you off because I thought it would be funny, but then I changed my mind because Try already did.
Thanks, guys. Okay, my number one is Sonic Adventure the original. I guess we're gonna have to count Sonic Adventure DX because Dreamcast doesn't count. Maybe. I think it's the coolest one because I really like. I mean, it was my first Sonic game, really, so obviously I have some bias, but it kind of invented 3D Sonic. I really respect how like wildly creative it is, considering like the first 2D Sonic games have a very specific aesthetic. You know, they've got checkerboard hills and they've got like the characters look a specific way. And it was like, this is what Sonic is. But with Sonic Adventure, they drastically redesigned all the characters to make them something new, and they put Sonic in like a city, and he catches a train now, and it's like
For
it's
some
super,
reason.
he catches a train for some reason. I don't know. It's super crazy. It's like an RPG. There's like these giant world maps that you walk around, or they felt giant, and you like talk to people. There's cutscenes. There's like 17 fucking storylines that all like interconnect. I think it's a mess, but I also think the ambition of it is really cool. Because I mean, you'd think it'd be a huge risk to just redo everything like that, and they're like, nope. But yeah, let's make this new 3D Sonic game, and what if we added in this character and he can go fishing, and then there's this robot and he can shoot people. It's almost like a 7-year-old came up with an idea for a Sonic game, and they actually
Isn't it all Sonic games?
True.
No, because some Sonic games have actual.
Some of them rein it in a bit, but this one is ridiculous. Like, just for being the first 3D Sonic. I also think that the game feel of 3D Sonic is maybe like not at its best, but it's pretty good in these games, aside from the horrible glitches, which are kind of hilarious and really fun to fuck around with.
I was gonna say, like, does anyone else think it's funny how Sonic drives a car? That's weird. Sonic takes a train. Whatever.
Yeah, no one complains about that. I really like the levels in these games more than, say, Adventure 2. Because Adventure 2 is a lot more drab, a lot more realistic and gritty, I think, or at least it's trying to be. While, like, Sonic Adventure, like, has shit where you're being chased by an orca whale, or you, like, run into a tornado, and then you're in the sky, and it's, like... It's really epic. So, I think
But
Adventure's
you do
the best
that
one.
in 06 and Shadow the Hedgehog too.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Adventure did it first. And it wasn't,
Yeah,
and
but
it
it
was
was-
like the other 3D Sonic games afterwards are kind of like, well, we made Adventure, I guess we'll make variations on that. But Adventure was like it's a wholly original thing.
Sonic 06 is so funny to me because it seems, from a paper perspective, like if you wrote down everything Sonic 06 did, you would have no idea why it was a bad game. But then you play it and you're like, oh my god.
And you're also like,
Like-
this isn't even on the system that we're discussing on this episode of the podcast, so I don't even know why I'm
You
talking.
said 2000!
Yeah,
Early-
the
no,
2000,
no,
but we told the
2000 through
GameCube and
2005.
PS2 era.
Yeah, 2000 through 2005. Let's.
06?
Okay.
Oh yeah, 06 was P3. Oh my god.
Anyway, that's
When
my
did-
case
when did
for
the
why number one is
PlayStation 2 come
Adventure.
out?
I should stop talking for a minute.
Yeah. It's Lunch still has to give us the rest of his list.
Oh,
Sorry.
I'm just gonna give you my whole list. Shit,
Oh.
I hadn't.
I hate
I
Fuck.
thought that was the point of ranking them.
Yeah, but I
thought
thought
the
we were
point
gonna
of
argue
bringing them
about
up
what
was to
goes
have
where.
Discourse.
Like,
Yeah, that's what I thought.
Well, I'm
So-
gonna.
Oh. I thought we were all giving
Discourse.
individual lists.
Yeah, but I was
Okay,
making
okay,
it boring.
well-
That's why no one liked episode 14.
Yeah.
That's fair.
Okay, if we wanted to talk quickly about. How about this? Rather than just like ranking, let's talk about them in order and say where they rank on our scale. So if we're talking about Sonic,
So
still
Sonic
think
Adventure
about
1,
Sonic
the
Advance.
original.
so Sonic Adventure 1, the original, out of 1 through 5, because I think that's 4 games, right? 1, 2, 3, 4.
We would have 6 if we counted the original Sonic Adventure 2 as well.
I've never played the original Sonic Adventure 2. I've only played It's funny. I've played Sonic Adventure 1, but I haven't played the original Sonic Adventure 2. I went whatever. I've got a weird relationship with Sonic Adventure 1, mainly because A, it was on my brother's console that I didn't really get to play a lot of the time because he was pretty protective of his consoles. B, I wasn't. I came into that game playing some of the later 3D Sonic games and kind of expecting it to function in certain ways that it didn't. I wasn't necessarily too fond of some of the. I wasn't too fond of the map, like the overall map design. I get it's a product of its time. It's just you come to expect certain things when you grow up playing certain games, and I didn't have.
Sure.
The,
well, I had the opposite experience where I looked at all the other 3D Sonics. I was like, this is an Adventure 1. Why can't I walk around a world map?
Yeah, which is funny. Where I'm like, this isn't Sonic Adventure Battle 2. Why the fuck do I have to walk around a world map?
Why can't I catch the train?
I'm pretty good at distancing myself from one game to another. I would like to think. I'd like to think. I have no idea if that's true.
I played the DX version of Sonic Adventure 1.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know what? You know what's a comment I have to make about this?
I'm curious, like, other than aesthetically, what's the difference between Sonic Adventure 1 and Sonic Adventure DX?
They tried to fix a bunch of the bugs, and they actually made it buggier. And the lighting is like worse. There's a lot of like cool atmospheric lighting in the original that doesn't make it into the new version. They redid a bunch of the textures, but like they didn't just up-res them, like they actually kind of changed it. So like DX is kind of basically just a worse version, except the character models are higher poly most of the time.
Okay.
That's
I really need to go back and play some of those old Sonic games, like from my perspective now, because I played them back when I was like high school, middle school. So like, and especially Adventure 2, because that was like my first Sonic game back in kindergarten. So like, I don't really have the freshest perspectives on them, but I do recall being incredibly frustrated with Sonic Adventure 1. Not as frustrated as Heroes made me, which is funny because I have a love-hate relationship with Heroes. If I were to place Adventure 1 on that scale of 1 to 4, I'd probably put it 3. Partially because like I just couldn't get through it. I wasn't having fun playing it. That might be a me thing. In general with Sonic, I have a very love-hate relationship with it.
You know, it's a Sonic list where it's like I didn't like it, so I'm gonna put it in the middle.
Well, yeah. Well, I mean, there's only 4 places to put them, and like I know what 2 and 4 are. I don't really have money. Like, as I don't hate 1, I would like to go back and replay it. I think it was just it wasn't what I was looking for.
I'm assuming 4 is better.
No, 4 is the worst.
4 is worst. Okay.
No, it's like 1, 2. Like if we're talking about like our top 4, like number 1, this game. So
okay, that makes sense.
So I would just give it an average 3. I need to replay it. I don't feel comfortable putting it any higher or lower.
This motherfucker likes Shadow Bell and Sonic Adventure, doesn't he? Oh god.
Yeah, I do.
My childhood is just screaming.
Yeah.
So my experience with Sonic Adventure 1. So it was the second Sonic game I've ever played. I did Sonic Adventure 2 first.
Okay.
Like Sonic Adventure 2 was when I was like really little, like when I was like 4-ish. I think I was introduced to Sonic Adventure 1 when I was 5.
Wow.
I remember even when I was 5, like I think just because I saw Sonic Adventure 2's cutscenes first, Sonic Adventure 1's cutscenes just felt so off. Just because like they had restricted themselves to like the in-gameplay animations.
Yeah.
For the cutscenes.
It's amazing that any game. It's amazing that any game can make Sonic Adventure 2's cutscenes look good, but it's actually a huge difference. Like to any reasonable person, Adventure 2's cutscenes are horrific. But then if you go from that to Sonic Adventure 1, you're like, oh no.
What a good game.
Is that all you were gonna say about Adventure 1? Just the The
Yeah,
cutscenes are
pretty
weird.
much. Also, Sonic Adventure 1 is the only game where you can always get Jewel Chow.
I never
Shiny
like
Jewel-
engaged with this Chow stuff very much.
And Shiny Jewel Chow, which are fucking awesome looking.
Nani?
Okay, well,
I have a Shiny Jewel Purple Chow, and he's really cool.
So where would
how
you
long
rank
does it take to get that?
So you can find jewel eggs in the overworld. There's the gold egg in Station Square, and the silver egg in the Mystic Ruins.
You know what's,
And
This is now Sonic Adventure walkthrough.
you
by
know what, you know
Tom.
what,
Yeah.
in
know
the
what's-
deluxe version, in the DX version, anyways. I don't know if this is a
Okay,
thing in,
you know what's really
in
weird?
base version.
I played through all of Sonic's story. I didn't play the other stories in Sonic Adventure 1 because just time and whatnot, and kind of frustration with the other. Like I didn't have as much fun playing as the other characters as I did with Sonic, but I never engaged with the Chow Garden. I don't even think I realized the Chow Garden was in the game.
I think the Chow Garden is very poorly
missing out,
conveyed
buddy.
in Adventure 1 and 2.
Well, at least
It's kind of just there, and you're like, what the fuck's going on?
no. Like I didn't even realize the Chow Garden was in Sonic Adventure 1.
Yeah, well, you have to, in that game, you really have to, like, seek it out.
Yeah, where 2
And then
it's
you're
like
where am I? What is...
where
okay.
2 it's just like, oh, find this, like very like you got this.
Find a key.
Find a key. Don't die while you hold the key. Get to the end of the stage.
Bring them highlighters.
Yeah. So
They will become
I always
stronger.
thought they were crayons.
okay, so it's actually kind of funny because Sonic Adventure 1, like I didn't know the Chow Garden was in there. Sonic Adventure 2, I probably spent 90% of my time in the Chow Garden. Because I was very much into that whole like taking care of like animals pet sort of game, like that raising simulator sort of game at that, like when I was that age. Like, and I'm still sort of into that thing now, but not as much. Like I was a big fan of like Nintendogs and like any like of those Tamagotchi.
It's actually crazy that stuff is in a Sonic game.
Yeah,
like,
I know.
I just want to like just go back to what I was saying earlier about how I love the ambition of these early 3D Sonics. Is that like it's insane that they like threw that into these two games and put a lot of effort into it as well. They're not like just like there's like fucking you can make them race and fight and stuff. Like, damn, dude.
Yeah.
There's
So
so many
Tar,
ideas.
where would you rank 1?
Again, assuming 1 is good, 1 is good, 4 is bad. I would put Sonic Adventure 1 at number 2.
Okay, so
like it.
Lunch
I
is
can
1.
expect that.
Tar's 2. I'm 3. Okay, that's cool. Dizzy, where would you put? What do you think of Sonic Adventure 1?
I never played it.
What do you think of Sonic Adventure 1?
I never played it.
So it's instantly number 1. It's your
Automatic.
favorite game. Automatic 1. Favorite game.
You guys were saying like Sonic Adventure 1, Sonic Heroes, all these other games. I'm like, I played Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog. I can't even participate in more than half of this list.
Okay, so you're deciding your top 2.
We already know that he thinks Sonic Adventure 2 is better than Shadow.
No.
Speaking of Shadow Adventure 2, maybe we should have Dizzy start this off because we dominated the last one.
I was going to mention the Game Boy games. That was where I got my most enjoyment out of Sonic. I
Probably
love
the-
Sonic Battle, and Sonic Advance 3 was probably one
Oh
of my
shit, are we
favorites.
incorporating all those games in here? We're gonna be here for like 7 hours.
No, only 3D Sonics. We can't. The 2 games
Only
with
the 3D
3Ds?
Sonics.
Okay. Shadow the Hedgehog is undecided where it stands next to Sonic Adventure 2 to me. And both Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow the Hedgehog are superior to Sonic Colors on the Wii and Sonic and the Black Knight and Sonic and the Secret Rings and Sonic
Only
Generations.
GameCube era.
Only GameCube era.
I said they're superior,
Just
so
tell-
they're
tell-
not even on the list.
Okay, just tell us what you think of Sonic Adventure 2.
Sonic Adventure 2 is better than Sonic Forces.
But on its own merits, though, like what do you think?
I think that I played it a lot. It was pretty mindless, and I forgot most of it.
Thank you, Dizzy.
I have a horrible
Very
Chow
cool.
Garden story, at least, though.
Ooh.
Oh boy.
Oh boy.
So when I was a kid, I just kind of did things just to see what would happen. And as you can probably imagine, it got me into a lot of trouble.
Of course.
And in the Chow Garden,
you
after just playing the game for a long time, I had one Chow that, for no real particular reason, I just started throwing around.
You son
Just
of
to
a
see what would happen.
bitch.
You asshole.
We gotta
Just to
we gotta
see
call
what would
Peter on.
happen.
We gotta call Peter on Dizzy.
It got so
So,
stressed,
okay, so
it would
the
start
one-
crying sporadically.
It's
All
it's
Dizzy
not
can
Peter,
tell
it's
us-
Pet Key. It's
All-
Pet C.
All Dizzy can tell us about Sonic Adventure 2 is it was pretty mindless. I do remember animal abuse. And that was the most
Well,
fun I
thought-
had with the game.
No, I felt bad about it. That's why I remember it.
Oh, it doesn't just because you
I
feel
felt
bad
bad
about it
about
doesn't
it.
make it
Well,
okay.
It taught you
No,
something.
that's true. I was just saying that, like, that was one of the. I wouldn't call it a highlight, but I would call it a definite note. Just Sonic Adventure 2 was like, you know, in Full Metal Alchemist, Edward Elric had that thing on his watch that said "Never forget October 24th." It's like on my watch I have "Don't forget you bullied a Chow."
The main highlights of that game.
I wouldn't call it a
Going-
highlight
skate-
because I didn't enjoy it.
Snowboarding down the city. Live
Okay,
and
can we-
learn!
okay,
and
can-
hurting children!
Can we all just say that Escape from the City is like City Escape is like one of the best Sonic stages ever.
Hell
Well,
yeah,
I
dude.
used it to get a bunch of coins so I could buy more eggs.
And it's funny because
I think City Escape, like I grinded City Escape so much, I think that is the only stage where I actually got 100% of the rings.
Hell yeah, dude.
like
I spent
More
about
than 100% actually.
like there are like I'm not the biggest fan of like Sonic Adventure 2 as a whole. But Jesus Christ, Escape from the City is probably one of the best levels on the GameCube. Like in any
Oh,
game.
it
Are you
is
are you
an
sure it's
epic
better than?
fucking sequence.
Are you sure it's better
It's okay,
than
it's okay,
the dome from Shadow the Hedgehog?
Stop.
Okay.
I see what you're doing. Stop.
I
Go
think
on.
okay, so
Just messing with Trey.
okay,
I don't
fucking
like the
City
dome.
Escape is a better level than anything in Shadow the Hedgehog, and in general, I like Shadow the Hedgehog as a whole over Sonic. I think Shadow is a much more consistently it's a much more consistent train wreck of an experience where Sonic
Nothing about Shadow the Hedgehog is consistent.
it's consistent on like how mediocre it is.
Yeah,
where-
well, Adventure 2 is occasionally awesome and then often really boring.
Okay. So Sonic Adventure 2, its highs are greater than any like of the 3D Sonic games, but its lows are worse than anything in Shadow the Hedgehog.
I do personally feel like
I'll contest you on that. I'm not sure how, but I feel very strongly toward this opinion.
There is nothing. Okay, so I know people complain about some of like those missions in Shadow the Hedgehog, where you have to go around and like find like 17 discs.
yeah. Some people.
Those levels.
People who are
Those levels have nothing on those Chaos Emerald emeralds, like those Chaos Emerald finding levels in Sonic Adventure 02. I've probably spent more consecutive time in a single, like more time in a single Chaos Emerald stage than I have consecutively on all the X things missions in Shadow the
At least
Hedgehog.
Knuckles has a skill set built for looking around and exploring. Like, I mean, I'm not gonna fucking die on the hill of Sonic Adventure 2 treasure hunting,
No.
but like,
You know
you're
what's
not gonna die on the pumpkin
I
hill.
I'm not gonna die on
I
this
really
pumpkin
enjoyed
hill.
Sonic Adventure 2 treasure hunting.
you know what makes what really frustrates me
They're
with the treasure
okay
hunt
sometimes.
is how where Shadow the Hedgehog stages they're narrow pathways, and yeah, they aren't the most interesting thing, but it's pretty easy to figure out where you are and like how like you're like, okay, I've looked around this area quite a bit, let me go back to this checkpoint, look around this area. It's tedious, but oh well. Finding your way around the directions in some of those treasure hunting stages is absolutely obnoxious, especially in the ones that have corridors, multiple rooms and whatnot, because since you're using a hot and cold system, you could be like thinking you're going the right way to find said thing, take a turn, it goes like the hot and cold system goes low, you're like, oh, I'm going the wrong way, you go backwards, and it turns out you just had to keep going down that corridor because there's another turn that took you where you're supposed to go.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not gonna say that system is flawless, but I had some fun with it. I did I liked reading the hints that would give you like a slightly cryptic idea of where to go, and then like finding
I
the
just
thing.
jump around.
I
I
wish-
really enjoy that too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But I think my favorite key location. I think my favorite treasure location was in the Death Chamber. I didn't see all of the hints for it. I remember the first hint was where the light used to shine, and the second hint was haven't you been here before?
Yeah.
And what you had to do was you had to so there was that room off to the side right at the beginning where you picked up the item that lets you punch steel boxes.
Yeah.
You had to dig there.
Yeah.
And I thought that was super clever.
Yeah.
Yeah, well,
That's a good idea.
I'm not saying that they weren't clever. They were the hints were a saving grace, and I definitely think Shadow could have used something like a hint system for some of the find the objects. But or at least that one find all the abnormal chaos things, like have better hints than that, because some of those were just bad. But
Yeah.
I think the
30
problem with the
minutes on
Knuckles
one
levels
stage.
is that they're generally like. First of all, I think the areas are too large. I think the core gameplay of looking for the gems is pretty fun, but like it's so the level design isn't great, and the fact that you can't like find the gems in any order, I think, is a big problem.
It's very large and it's very samey. It's very hard to sometimes get your bearings because a lot of the areas look very similar, and you can end up retreading the same area or overlooking an area because you think you were already there. It's not
Windows.
the individual levels aren't diverse enough to be.
Yeah, I get you, especially when you're like in the pyramid or whatever, and everything looks the same.
Oh god, don't even. Oh fuck the pyramid. Oh
No.
fuck the pyramid.
I think somewhere in there, I think you could make a cool Knuckles treasure hunting game.
Yeah, I'm not against. I'm not against the idea of
There's some potential in there.
I have like the weirdest comment about like the treasure hunt stages, which is that I like them when I'm not playing story mode.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, no, I get that too.
When you can just kind of play it on your own terms.
Yeah, I like it better. I like doing the aquatic mine or the meteor herd when I'm like in stage select.
Can I just
when it's like story mode, then it's like ugh.
There's a song. It might be the song for Aquatic Mine, but in one of these tracks, there's like this bit where the rapper is like he's just role playing a scene between Knuckles and Sonic, and he's just like his voice in the background. Death Chamber. It's so fucking great.
Can we all just?
What are you doing here? No, Knuckles. We have to find the emeralds. I don't trust you, man. It's like. It's so amazing. It's like him like playing with like two toys or something.
You're right, Knuckles. You're damn right.
Yeah, that's the one. It's so good.
Can we just agree that Sonic Adventure 2 soundtrack is like one of the best soundtracks of all time?
Of
I
course.
never liked any of the Rouge musics.
God, Live and Learn is so like Sonic Adventure 1 got the ball rolling with Open Your Heart, but Live and Learn is the real shit. And the fact that City Escape is in there too, and then you've got all these really chill rap tracks in the Knuckles levels that are stupid, but they're good.
I'll be contentious.
Okay, can I just throw down a hot take real quick?
Yeah.
Okay.
The best song in the game is the song used for the Sand Ocean level.
I don't remember that one.
I'm gonna have to look it up.
That was the Eggman level set in the desert.
Okay, I'm gonna throw a hot take out there. I'm not the biggest.
I remember that song. Taro.
Personally, I'm not the biggest fan of Live and Learn. I prefer Sonic Heroes opening and all of I Am All of Me to Sonic Adventure.
Hard disagree on both of those, but I still love you.
But City Escape is still by far my favorite Sonic song.
Everyone can unite over City Escape.
Escape.
I can't.
Live and
I
Learn.
don't think City Escape is as good as you guys are saying, but I will say it is good.
No, City Escape works. City Escape's great with the context of the level.
Yes, absolutely.
What makes it so killer is like you surfing down the highway and the song just blaring in the background, and it creates that nostalgic tonal memory. If you were just listening to the song without the context, I can see why someone wouldn't think it's as great. But whenever that song comes down, I just imagine myself skiing, surfing down the highway.
It's so like attached to like what is fun about a Sonic game, just that fantasy of just like running and fucking tearing through the city and destroying robots and stuff, and like feeling really free.
I don't think there's ever been a Sonic song that captures that as well as it has.
That feeling, you know?
Yeah,
and that feeling that they really nailed on that level, and not so much in the rest of the game, but it was still pretty cool.
Also, can we bring up the fact that the intro version to City Escape starts up in exactly the moment Sonic's board hits the street.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's the fuck. You're god. That is just like orgasm to my ears.
Orgasm to my ears? Is that the phrase?
I don't
We're
know.
trying to be PG-17, Tar. Don't take this to 18.
Tar.
That was try, you asshole!
Try, Tar. The only
can I-
difference is their
Okay,
personalities.
as much as like I like to pray like to be controversial and talk about
apologize for
how much I like Shadow the Hedgehog. Its soundtrack's terrible. Shadow's soundtrack is
Okay.
god awful.
I have like basically the lowest standards of music ever. Like I say this to give context when I say I'm fine with some of Shadow's music, but I would say 50% of the library I wouldn't listen to.
I don't
like-
remember it. I don't remember anything other than like
the only
All I Am.
songs I remember like I can even think of from Shadow the Hedgehog is I Am All of Me and the I Am All of Me final boss mix.
I'll never get Westopolis out of my memory because I had to hear it so many
You didn't
think
have to.
times.
You could have
I
put
think I
down
ju-
the controller whenever you wanted.
I think I just turned it out of my head. Westopolis was so. Okay, that was
It's
another
so
thing I was
bad.
thinking. I think one of the
Well,
things
I don't
that
know if it's bad. I'm just sick of hearing it.
Okay, I think one of the things that really doesn't help Shadow the Hedgehog and why a lot of people like, because my initial experience going to Shadow and to Shadow the Hedgehog when I first was playing it was like, I hate this. This is terrible. And then as I continued to play, getting used to the controls and stuff, I grew to appreciate it more.
You know what I appreciated in Shadow the Hedgehog? Like
Was
I think
the end credit scene?
someone like a YouTuber named Brutal Moose, who's like a million times more popular than we are, did a review of Shadow
So
the
like
Hedgehog.
so like any
And he made
YouTuber.
He made a comment where he was like talking about how there's so much noise and talking and text and stuff, and then there's and he's like, but it's fine because there's subtitles and whatever. And I was like, you know what? I actually appreciate all the noise in Shadow the Hedgehog because it just made everything sound like white noise, and I could tune all
Yeah.
of it out by listening to
that
all
is
of it.
such a.
I don't want to
my
listen to the
God,
music.
dude.
I don't want to listen to the characters. I don't
Weren't
want to
we-
listen to the sound effects. I don't want to listen to this and
But,
that. So just listening
we
to
about
all
to
of
rank
it and
Sonic
not being
Adventure
able to
2?
understand
so-
what
if
my
we can
ears are
rewind a bit.
processing
I-
is happiness.
I wanted to add a little more about Adventure 2, where
Yeah.
I think that I think for a lot of people, Shadow the Hedgehog is the game where they can kind of laugh at how dumb it is. I think Adventure 2 is much better for that. It's because I don't know, something about the fact that all the subtitles are in Comic Sans, but it's like
I didn't
but
notice.
it's such a dark story, but it's so poorly told, and the characters talk over each other. Everything's out of sync. They fucking jump into the president's car and shit, and like, hey, what's going on? And like, it's like, there's just some like, I know that a lot of people didn't like that they redid the voice act, they recast all the voice actors in Shadow the Hedgehog, and I felt that way too as a kid. But the adventure actors are so bad. Like, there are so many lines where like they say it and it feels like the first time they've ever read the line, and then they just kept that in there. It's a train wreck. I think ranking Adventure 2 is difficult because it has some very prolonged, unfun sections that you have to get through.
Such as?
Okay, a lot of the mech shooting levels are just bad. Controlling that thing isn't fun. It's really easy to fall in the sand and die. Some of the Knuckles levels, such as Knuckles levels, have some fun, but they're also way too big, and like mad space is like fuck you. There are like only the dark
I
path
think the
only
only
has like
treasure
4
hunting
shadow
level
levels.
I actively disliked was Security Hall.
Oh, that's the
like
Rouge
That
That
was-
one where the thing
that
so
was,
explode?
that was the
That's so
Rouge
hard.
level on a timer.
Jesus,
No, that's
fuck.
absurd.
I thought I shoved that one out of my memory.
I
Thanks,
think-
Tar.
I think I'm gonna rank Adventure 2
Thanks, Try.
in my number 2 spot. Just
Which is sort of-
because I
sort of
think it
weird,
still carries over like the I don't know. It's just fascinating to me. It really leans into like Sonic Adventure 1 has a bit more of the classic Sonic vibe to it. Like, it's a bit more colorful. It's more abstract. Then Adventure 2 is like moving in that darker and grittier direction, and it's really ridiculous in its attempts to do that. And it has some also really genuinely great stuff in there. So I think it's cool. And I'm putting
I
that-
do agree that Sonic Adventure 1 has some great stuff, although that's more the final Tails boss, where Eggman just breaks down.
I would
That's some
definitely.
scary voice acting there.
I would say I would definitely
before I make mincemeat out of you.
I think I'd put Sonic Adventure 2 on like number 2 as well. I definitely feel that it was probably we're okay. So you all know I'm putting Shadow 1. But, so I think we're the difference between like Sonic Adventure 2 and Shadow for me is, weirdly enough, I found Sonic Adventure 2 far more tedious than Shadow, in a sort of bad way. Like they're both very tedious games, don't get me wrong, but I feel like there's just some really awkward level design in Shadow, well in Sonic, where Sonic's level design can be sort of really bad. There's a lot of, I find.
Yeah, what's that level with the gravity gimmicks where you go upside down and then you have to like
crazy
try and...
gadget.
Yeah,
that was some wacky shit. It was really hard to control.
Especially like
very
like
creative.
That
for Sonic
final
level.
room
I really
me for the longest time because I was 8.
It really makes me the best levels in Sonic the Hedgehog are the first few. I really feel like after I really feel like at some point Sonic the Hedgehog's like they just kind of gave up testing the levels. Like they're like, oh shit, we got a deadline. We got to just finish these last few levels up and ship it. Because I remember having a pretty easy time for like the first half of the game, and then, but when I got to the later half of the game, I just couldn't make any more progress. It was like, or like I couldn't do well enough to get good ratings at the very least. Like,
I think I'm going to put Sonic Adventure 2 at my number 1.
Hell yeah.
I just want to say that it's pretty sad that I had more fun with the Chow Garden than most of the late game content.
Well, the Chow
Garden was still good.
Game.
Again, I think the Chow Garden in SA1 is better, just because you can get shiny Jewel Chow.
I can't argue with that. I really like the evolution system and like the the different gardens you could unlock through like the alignments. But was that in 1?
That was in the alignment. The alignment gardens was in Adventure 2. The alternate gardens in SA1 was based off the hub worlds.
It's cool how these adventure games like they really try to have some kind of like side break from the main Sonic gameplay, where it's like, okay, well, in between levels you might be raising animals and feeding them fucking coconuts and shit.
I'd really like to see like a Sonic Adventure game with given the Sonic Mania treatment, where they give it to some group of fans that know what they're doing to make a really great Sonic Adventure game. So because I don't trust Sega to make another Sonic Adventure like game, especially after after that whatever Sonic game that I never played and we don't talk about.
You're gonna have to be a little more specific.
Yeah, we never talk about it. I don't know.
Fuck the
Forces was pretty adventure-esque, to be honest.
Yeah,
but bad.
Yeah, the really bad one. The really bad one.
06?
No, not 06. I mean, 06 was enough reason to not trust them with adventure titles anymore.
Yeah, but that was ages ago.
Yeah, but it was
Sonic and the
there are
Black
more recent
Knight?
failures.
It was the one that came out on the Wii U.
Oh, boom.
Sonic and the
Lost
Black
World?
Knight.
Sonic Boom wasn't even made by Sega though.
Yeah, I know. Well,
Yeah, that was Red Button.
but I think I just feel like that if we could get like a Sonic Adventure game like made in something like Unreal Engine or Unity by a team that knows what the fuck they're doing, like.
I don't know if that team exists though, because like I've been following Sonic fan games for a long time. I know that you're just speaking hypothetically, but like having
I feel like Sonic Dream Collection was a better Sonic
game.
Sonic Dream Collection was a better 3D Sonic game. Fight me.
Subscribe to our Kickstarter down below. Links in the description so we can make our own Sonic Adventure 3 unofficial.
I mean, that's definitely gonna get us taken down.
Yeah.
We'll put all of our effort into level 1 and then just ship it onto Steam.
Should we move on to Heroes then?
Yeah,
It'll
Heroes.
be a great
Move
level
on to
1.
Heroes.
It won't be a substantial.
What goes up must come down, and if feet don't touch the ground, see my world
Do I have to
turn
come
upside
down
down.
from this high?
Demonetized without a sound.
Okay, but the best part of Sonic Heroes is what I'm made of. Don't fight me on this.
The best part of Sonic Heroes is the opening theme.
No, it
The best
isn't.
part of Sonic Heroes is Big the Cat.
What I'm made of is definitely better than the main
I don't think I ever got to
Big
what
the
I'm
Cat
made of in
and his
Sonic.
weird blobby feet.
theme. Sorry.
I don't.
Let's
I don't remember what. I don't remember what I
Let
made of.
me show
Wait,
you
I forgot. I was going to show you guys something before we stop talking about Sonic
of.
Adventure.
Okay. You know
I was gonna show you
the
guys a
context.
picture.
The reason why I don't have as much
I have this
thing.
Here you go. Here's my thoughts on Sonic Adventure.
Oh no. That's perfect. Sonic Adventure 3 confirmed. So speaking of what I made of, that's a really good transition because I think the reason why you guys love it so much and I don't is that I don't have the context of listening to it while fighting the boss because I never got that far in a Sonic Heroes.
Neither do I. I never played Heroes.
Oh.
What?
Oh.
Okay, but then again, that also means
Well,
you don't
I
have...
did. Okay. Let me correct myself. I did play Heroes once when I was like 10. I got to the first level, and I just didn't really have time to devote to it because I was at a friend's house.
Sonic
Fair
Heroes
enough.
is just so bad. See, it's so bad.
Okay.
Look at his feet.
so
Look
bad.
at his feet.
Who wants to start talking about heroes then? We've
Okay.
got
Look at his
two
blobby
people who
feet.
are not qualified. So
I
it's me
love
and
the
you.
Look at
opening,
his
but
big
it's so-
blobby feet.
Like,
Good talk.
Good talk. I would put Sonic Heroes at number 5. Let's move on.
okay.
Sonic Heroes is my number 3.
I feel like Lunch has some things. Like, what was it like playing the PC version of Heroes?
Okay, well, to be honest, first I was playing the PC version, and then I didn't play it for ages, and then years later I went to play it again, and I don't think it ran on my new PC, so I may have played the GameCube version on an emulator. Don't tell anyone. So that was how I beat the game, basically on the GameCube version.
But
So
Lunch, you just told like 10 people.
shit. So I think Heroes for the first couple of levels is great.
Oh my gosh, it
And
was on
then-
PC.
And then it gets like, okay, so I think the first couple of Sonic levels I guess the gameplay is the same for almost all the characters, but the first couple of levels, I think they're really fun. I think the team mechanics add a lot. They give you something extra to do. I think the level design is kind of adventure-esque in that there's more paths and there are things to find. I think the graphics and the music is pretty enjoyable. The first couple levels are really solid. I like when I came back to it
The first couple
2
levels.
years ago. I was
think you're
like,
being
I'm having a lot of
generous.
fun. But then, I forget exactly. I think after
Wasn't
the
it
kind of
when you
electrical
start getting
plot.
to the canyon levels that you realize, oh, this game isn't.
I think I think that's about right. After a certain point, the levels get really long. They become really samey. It becomes more based on combat, and suddenly you're in these 15-minute long trudges through just a bunch of nonsense. I think the game really just fails to build on what it sets up in the first couple of levels. If they, or maybe it just becomes apparent that the team mechanics don't have much depth. But it never the game just becomes more inconvenient and more annoying and more punishing for how slippery it is. The basic controls are definitely worse than say Adventure, which wouldn't be as bad if they didn't kill you frequently and then you had to redo a 15-minute level because you ran out of lives. It gets really dumb. And then you have to beat the game 3 more times with very little variation to get the final boss, and that sucks. That
and
really
aren't,
sucks.
the Chaotix missions.
The Chaotix missions are
doo doo.
they're like
The
proto Shadow the Hedgehog, or it's find 17 hermit crabs rather than CDs. Also, why am I finding crabs? I don't know.
By proto Shadow the Hedgehog, you mean worse than Shadow the Hedgehog because they were just thrown in rather than actually the stages weren't designed for.
Yeah, because
searching.
they hadn't added in AK-47s yet, so it was
part
pretty
of
stupid.
part of what makes the searching levels in Shadow the Hedgehog not as bad is that the levels aren't that long. It's
Oh yeah,
if you need
because
a-
Heroes levels are gigantic. They never
Yeah.
end. At least
Extinguish 65 flames, bitch.
was there a real checkpoint
Bitch!
was there a checkpoint system in Heroes where you could jump back and forth?
I think so for Team Chaotix.
Okay.
Because they can pollinate flowers.
Oh yeah,
Is
there's
that a sex act?
maybe.
Anyway.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think it needs to be
So
rated
what's gonna
down
get
now.
us demonetized? The talk about that or the song jingle that Try did?
So my experience with Sonic Heroes starts off in a very humble place. Back in the mid 2000s, McDonald's liked to had little gaming kiosk things where they would have GameCubes, and I would play GameCube games on there. Sometimes it'd be Mario Party, sometimes it'd be literally Sonic Heroes. It'd be the only Sonic game they played. It was literally either Mario Party or Sonic Heroes that was at the
All right.
the
Well,
McDonald's.
yeah, because Sonic Heroes was supposed to be this momentous release that returned Sonic back to its
Yeah.
roots, and just utterly failed at that.
So my experience playing Sonic Heroes would be like, it'd be at some level. I'd play for 5 minutes. My food would be ready. I'd eat my food and leave. And I was like, wow, that's really cool. I really like this. I really like the pretty colors, the sound, the music, and Sonic's cool. I ended up getting my parents to buy me the game. I played through the first level of Sonic. I'm like, wow, this is really cool. The first boss is like, oh, that was an okay boss, but this is really cool. I started the second level up. I'm like, oh, wow, this is really cool. Halfway, or like on the last third of the level, there was that bullshit lava section. And that was the moment I knew I was hating the game for the rest of the game.
That was level
I
3.
never got past
That
that
was level
section.
3. Yeah, that was level 3. Well, that was
I
the first
never
level of the
got past
second
that.
world. That was the first level of the second world. Because I think each...
First level of the second world, that was the city level.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
there was a lava section? Wait,
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's whatever.
Well, it was either the first level or the second level of the second world. Then there was...
Yeah, it's in the second world.
so
for
the
sure.
first level is the coasts, and the second levels are the cities. So
Yeah, there's a
how
lava
is
section in this...
how- lava doesn't...
There's a tower thing that you have to climb up, and then lava comes from the floor.
Yes.
Lava is not conducive to any of
I
Sonic
know.
Heroes' level themes.
No, it's not.
This is like part of my nightmares because I probably spent more time than humanly, like psychologically reasonable on that stage, just to get past that part because it's not a very well designed or tested area. It's
It's not that bad. It's a challenging area.
when you're 5 years old playing a fucking Sonic
you're 5
game.
years old.
I was 16 and I couldn't win.
But I got past that part. Thank God, I got past that part eventually. Then there's the boss battle with it's the Sonic versus the Sonic team versus Shadow team, and it's not a hard battle, but it's not
No,
exciting.
it was Sonic versus Amy.
yeah.
Sonic versus
I thought that was Sonic versus Amy.
Oh yeah, Sonic
Sonic
versus Amy.
versus
Tower,
Shadow
are
was
you
after the
skipping?
jungle
Yeah.
levels.
Are you skipping there, or did you forget? I'm not sure.
I just forget. I forgot that Amy was even in the game.
So are you talking about the Sonic versus Amy fight, or are you skipping ahead to the Shadow?
No, the Sonic versus Amy fight. But
Okay.
I mean, it's kind of indicative of the team fights in general. Like the hero, like they're just not exciting battles. Where one of the things that makes Sonic really interesting is no matter how bad the game is, or how poorly designed the levels are, the battles are always exciting, if not entirely fair. I mean, I think back to fucking like even the first level of Sonic Heroes, the Egg Fleet or whatever it's called. That was a big bombastic boss, and then the boss of the second level is three characters that you're just basically jumping around punching at, and there's
Sonic Heroes rival battles are a giant clusterfuck for sure.
Don't you just win via tornado?
I don't know. You
I think it's
basically
a
you
leader.
try and cheese it as much as you can.
yeah,
Isn't tornado the win button?
perhaps.
I guess I didn't discover that.
Then the game it's the Z move, like where like you have like your team like it's your team attack.
No, like not even that. Like all of the speed characters had a move where they summon a tornado.
Oh yeah, no, okay, I get what you're saying. I don't remember if I used that tactic. Then we got to the casino level. I hated the casino level. I just in general I don't like casino levels in Sonic.
That's
it doesn't matter
definitely
which.
that's definitely where the game I think starts. It's to
Yeah.
really take a turn for
But
the worse.
yeah, Sonic Heroes' casino level is by far the worst. I wasn't a fan of Adventure 1's casino level, but it was playable. And
Well,
I
Sonic
didn't mind
Adventure
it.
1's casino level is just pinball. Like literally,
Yeah.
you just play pinball.
Yeah,
no, in
I'm
Heroes,
not-
it's like it's pinball,
a-
but it's integrated into the game. But like, it's really easy to lose where you are, and
It's
to like,
too ambitious. It's too ambitious.
it's very tedious when you like fall off a bit and you have to redo a section. And if one
Don't
of
you
your
have
friends
to get
falls
like
off, then you're
all
like
three
dead.
characters off of a pinball board individually
Yeah,
in order to continue?
yeah, exactly.
No, yeah, it's like they had this really cool idea, but in practice, it's just exhausting.
It just screams like they didn't have time to properly test the game. Which seems like a pattern for Sega Sonic Team.
That probably that's a good turning point. Now that I'm thinking about it, like the game like kind of beyond that point is exhausting, which is such a shame. Like if they had just decided to make less game maybe and just made like a couple of levels that are all really solid, and then found some bullshit Chow Garden to put on the side, then you would have had a fun game.
So like this is something I wanted to kind of veer back to where.
This is the only one that has mini games for the chaos. That has a mini game for the Chaos Emeralds, and isn't it like the worst mini game?
I don't
worst
remember.
Chaos Emerald mini game in all of Sonic.
I don't remember.
Actually, I just remembered. Something really funny. When I was beating Sonic Heroes, like I did all the character paths and I got like a couple of the Chaos Emeralds, but past a certain point it was just way too hard. So that was when I just downloaded a save file off the internet and then did the final boss. I was like, I'm just not gonna do this. I don't respect my time enough to not play this game, but I respect it enough to not get all the Chaos Emeralds.
Where like this is a sort of like an interesting thing that I've noticed. What makes Shadow the Hedgehog almost like the anti-Sonic game, because Sonic Adventure Battle 2 and Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes start off really strong and peter out. Where Shadow the Hedgehog, the worst stages are at the start of the game. I mean, there are some late game stages that are just poorly designed mission-wise, but in general, some of the more exciting and fun and more unique levels are late game. And while some of them, yes, are frustratingly difficult, Sonic Adventure, Shadow the Hedgehog always, while being kind of meh and mediocre throughout, kind of starts off really bad and gets like mediocre meh. Where Sonic
this is the best
Adventure,
praise ever.
Yeah, where I don't like Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes as much as they start off so strong, and then they perpetually get worse and worse into terrible games that are less fun to play than when Shadow the Hedgehog's not fun. Like
so you're kind of saying that like the earlier games are kind of like a pizza where like the first piece is amazing, but then like the pieces get progressively disgusting, and then Shadow the Hedgehog is like a cracker. You never expected anything from it. But
you never expect from everybody, but every so often you get a piece of cracker with cheese.
Yeah, there you go.
It may have been a cracker to you, but it was a pizza to some people, and then they opened the box and it was just a cracker.
It's like you get a pizza box that's like from the, so you get the same pizza, like order a pizza from the same place you got Sonic Adventure 2 and Sonic Heroes. But it's got this mask of edginess. You're like, oh, this is Sonic Team's edgy pizza. You open it up, it's a cracker. Like it's just a bunch of crackers. You take a bite, you're like, well, this is terrible and disappointing. Then you keep.
But then you just can't stop eating them, and then you're.
But then every so often you get like a decently flavored cracker. It's not as good as like the pizza when it's at its best. But you're like, you know what? I didn't give these crackers enough credit than what there is to do. By the time you're done eating the Sonic Adventure 2 and Sega pizza, you're like, you want to vomit.
This analogy perfectly captures like the Stockholm syndrome of Sonic fans, where we don't just call back the pizza place and say, "Hey, you didn't send me a fucking pizza." We say, "Oh, those crackers weren't so bad. Some of them had cheese on them." You know what? On its own terms, they were okay crackers, even though it was a pizza box.
Yeah, it's why I hate the phrase "it's a bad blank," but judge it by its own merits. Because it's like, if I didn't, it's a Shadow the Hedgehog. Oh, it's a bad Sonic game, but it's so fun as a mess. And I'm like, yeah, well, I paid for a fucking Sonic game.
Yeah.
It's Shadow the Hedgehog isn't a Sonic game that was marketed as a Sonic game. Like, it was marketed as edgy Sonic, but it's a 3D shooter platformer that should never even be attempted to be played as a Sonic game. But they want you.
Shadow the Hedgehog is my number 4, by the way.
Yeah, Shadow the Hedgehog is my number 1 because it never disappointed me.
See, again, too, going to the cracker mentality, this is like you, a person who doesn't order from the pizza shop, being told, don't order that pizza, it's a cracker. And then you're going, that sounds hilarious, I'll pay $5 for a joke. That's why you like it so much, because you wanted a cracker.
And you know what?
Yeah,
I fucking enjoyed that cracker. I fucking enjoyed that cracker. Thank you very much.
Whoa, I'm so happy for you. Okay, so here's my list. It's just in and it's in like release order. My favorite's Adventure, second favorite's Adventure 2. My third favorite is Heroes, and my fourth least favorite is Shadow.
I had Adventure 2, Adventure 1, Heroes, Shadow.
I had Shadow, Sonic Rider. No, I'm joking. Adventure Battle.
Sonic Riders!
Adventure Battle 2, Adventure 1, Sonic Heroes.
I think Heroes had the potential to be really up there.
Yeah, no,
if it held the quality of the first few levels, it would be up there for sure.
That's why Sonic
It's a really good game for a couple levels.
Yeah, that's why Sonic Heroes is my last one, because it disappointed me the most.
Yeah, and Heroes is like 2/3 bad.
Yeah.
Or more.
Yeah.
Probably more, because, just because of the 4 teams.
Yeah, you get exhausted the further you go along.
My list is number 1, Baldi's Basics, and everything else is just Shadow the Hedgehog.
Baldi the Hedgehog.
It's better to have eaten a piece of pizza and lost than to only have crackered.
I've wanted a pizza for like freaking weeks.
It's better
pizza
to be pleasantly surprised with crackers than to eventually throw up from too much pizza.
You can never throw up.
If we're going to be talking about pizza this much, shouldn't have this entire episode been about Mario?
No.
That's racist.
That's, yeah.
And this has been Bros in a Landfill.
I'm reporting you to the SGW police.
Your mom.
Sonic Heroes!